What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Auto Auction Rebuilds. Today, well, it's not exactly a great day. I've had my Tesla, my very cheap $5,000 P85, sitting in the garage for quite a while now. It broke down, and I'm finally rolling it. I had to push it out of the garage. I had to move all my cars out of the way because we actually have a tow truck coming. That's how bad it is. I was driving the car. Car drove excellent. I had no issues with it. I was loving it. In fact, I loved this car so much, and the last high mileage P85 that I had, that I went out and I bought a 2021 Model S Plaid, which is sitting over here running currently, and I love this car as well. I've really become a huge fan of Tesla. Well, the funny thing is, I'd already ordered this car. I was like, I'm buying it, I'm done. I gotta have that. Not really sure what I was gonna do with this one, but for as cheap as I got it, it could sit, or I could let Nick drive it or whatever. You may notice there are some pieces that I took off. Yeah. So you guys may remember the last Model S I had. I was able to troubleshoot, diagnose, and repair it myself, and I did a lot of repairing on that car. It had a lot of problems. I got it all fixed up. Is good to go. This car, thankfully, it didn't have any of those problems. It was just a solid driver. Well, unfortunately, that all came to a screeching halt one day. I took my fiance out. We went driving all over. We went shopping. We had a wonderful day. And then I got a notification when I was in Shawnee, Oklahoma. The screen lit up and said, hey, the car may not restart. It said something about losing power, voltage low. And I was like, uh-oh, that's no good. So I parked it, I came back out from the mall, and it started back up, and all the error messages went away. And I was like, oh, okay, good, great. We drove it home, I parked it in the garage, I put it on charge for the night, I went to bed. When I came out the next day, I'm gonna show you exactly what it does, which is practically nothing. You open the door, screens come to life. That's always nice. It's letting me know that the front trunk is open. Now, we're going to get some error codes here. We have driver's door open, acceleration and top speed reduced, vehicle may not restart, and boy, if we scroll down, unable to start vehicle, power reduced, unable to charge, air suspension not working. We've got acceleration and top speed reduced, performance may be restored, tow mode is enabled, car will remain free rolling. Suffice it to say, the car will not move. Front trunk is currently open, blah, blah, blah. It's all kinds of upset right now. And that's fine. I've got all the pieces in the back here that I had to take off, which includes that front nose cone right there. AAA's on the way. They're going to come take this down to Tesla. So this is my first time dealing with something that I could not diagnose myself. I even called up Rich Rebuilds and asked him if he could look into some of the error codes. Put the car into service mode, which is easy to do, and I started going through the codes. Well, Rich looked at him and he said, man, he said, I don't know. He said it could be that the rear drive unit is having problems. The main problem that we're all concerned about is what's called a loss of isolation. What this means is that obviously with these high voltage 400 volt batteries, you don't want positive and negative touching. You ever see what happens to a car battery, just a little 12 volt battery, right? Whenever you touch the positive and negative together, big sparks. And if you leave them connected, well, they can poof, blow up. Well, obviously it's a bigger battery, right? You don't want positive and negative touching. Therefore, you have battery isolation. Well, here's the thing. There are several components in this car that could be causing this problem, and I need special tools. Tesla has available their Toolbox 3 that you can rent for basically like $150 a day, and you can use their diagnostic software. The problem is you need a laptop that runs Google Chrome, and it's got to be like a Windows. I don't have one of those, so I would have to buy a laptop just to do this. You have to buy a special cable that I don't have to do this as well. You also need a megometer, which I don't have, so I need to buy that as well. So in order to do the diagnosing on this, I would need a bunch of equipment, and I just don't feel like buying the equipment. So I was able to go into the app, which is really cool. I was able to schedule an appointment with Tesla. It takes about 2 weeks. They're kind of behind, but I was able to schedule the appointment through my phone. And I thought, great, it's scheduled to be there on the 19th. It's the 12th. they told me to go ahead and send it there today, and if they can fit it in, they will. Here's what's interesting. Tesla diagnosed it. Now, I already knew that it was going to be one of 4 problems. Primarily, the defect in the large drive unit in the performance models. They are known to leak coolant. A seal goes out, coolant gets into the electronics, poof. All right, that's what Rich and I were both most concerned with. But it could also be the air conditioning compressor runs off the high voltage system as well. The inverter runs off the high voltage system, obviously the motor. So there are several components in here. And I think the battery heat pump, the heat motor, whatever, the pump, whatever, those things could, any one of them, be causing a loss of isolation. Well, this is the interesting thing. Without Tesla ever setting eyes on the car, they've already diagnosed it, they already sent me an invoice, and I've already approved it. They were able to remotely diagnose this car without ever seeing it in person, without ever putting tools to this car. They already diagnosed it as a faulty air conditioning compressor. Thank God. Yes. Now here's the thing. I can replace the air compressor. Super easy to do. You got to remove this frunk. Comes apart super easy. All this stuff, just a few nuts and bolts, mostly clips. All this stuff pops out. The air compressor sits somewhere down here. A couple air conditioning lines, a couple power voltage lines, and some bolts mounting it to the bottom of the car. Super easy to do. Nothing complicated. And if I get the part used, I can get it for a couple $100. The problem is, if I buy it used and it goes out a week later or 2 weeks later, I'm stuck with it and I get to do the job all over again. Brand new, well, that compressor is like $1,200. So against my better judgment, you guys know I'm not big on sending vehicles into service. I like to fix them myself. In this particular very rare situation, I am sending it to Tesla. I approve the repair. It's going to cost about $1,800 between the $1,200 for the compressor, some O-rings, obviously, collecting the old Freon, and then recharging it again, diagnosing, verifying the repair, and some other little odds and ends associated with it. They're going to make sure the car is in tip-top shape, and I'm going to get it back with an $1,800 repair unless something else is wrong. And we'll find that out for sure once they get hands on it and have a chance to actually go into it and really diagnose it. But preliminary report says it's just a failed air compressor, 263,000 miles, and I was very worried. And it looks like $1,800 is going to fix it. Now, that's a lot of money. I'll be the first to admit that's a lot of money, but it could be a lot worse. I was seriously concerned about maybe something wrong with the battery, or maybe something was wrong with the drive unit. The drive unit on this, you're looking at $6,000 to $7,000 for a replacement from Tesla. The good news is, though, if you shell out that money, you are basically replacing what is the equivalent of an engine and a transmission in a traditional car. You want to know how much an engine costs for that Ram? You're looking at least $15,000 for an engine. Transmission, probably around $6,000. So for a fraction of the cost, you're replacing the motor, transmission, basically everything that drives a vehicle, a gas vehicle. You're replacing all that, and Tesla gives you a 4-year, 50,000 mile warranty on those parts. So I guess I'm going to go ahead and close up the frunk. I left all the bolts and everything in there for Tesla. It is still in free roll mode, so you can very easily, this thing will just back and forth. I'm thinking once we get all this done and it's fixed, obviously I'm going to be into it a little more than I wanted to be. $5,000 plus another $1,800 in repair. You know, $6,800, honestly, still an insanely good deal for a very nice looking, running and driving Tesla. That's just my personal opinion. So let's get this thing on a tow truck, and then we will come back once the repairs are done, or if Tesla finds something else more serious wrong with it that's going to cost multiple thousands of dollars, at which point I may choose to just part the car out. And just like that, she's gone. Unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to film it for you because I had to push the car down this road all the way around that semi-truck down there and around the corner. So I'm a little bit out of breath. It's a heavy car, but thankfully, I didn't realize this. It goes up a little bit here, but once you get over this hump, it starts going downhill. So I literally pushed the car out of my driveway. I pushed it all the way down to the edge of my driveway to where it got to the road. Once I got it just a little bit past the edge of my driveway there, it just started rolling backwards fast. And I was like, oh crap, I was outside the car pushing and it took off on me. I need a dedicated cameraman, you know, or a head mount. I should have had something strapped onto me so you guys could have seen it, because I had to jump in the car. I had to shut the door because right down here is it's a big semi truck and it's blocking the majority of the road. The tow truck driver couldn't get here, and I about took out a mailbox and the top of my car trying to get the thing around it while it was, you know, going down the road there. It was a catastrophe. And then a lady that lives here, she was trying to get out, but the tow truck was stuck over there. There's cars all around the corner. People couldn't get in, people couldn't get out. And then the lady got mad at me, like it's my fault. It took about 15 minutes to load it onto the truck, and the lady had to sit there and wait. I get it. I'd be frustrated too, but you know, she gave me the stink eye. That's what she did. She gave me the stink eye and shook her head at me when she was driving by, and I'm like, what do you want me to do, man? I'm sorry you're inconvenienced. Guess what? I'm inconvenienced too. But it's not my fault. It's actually whoever parked that giant semi-truck blocking 90% of the road so people cannot... If you've got a big truck, you're not getting in there, guys. You're not. And apparently the lady thought it was my fault that my car broke down. Sorry. Sometimes there's inconveniences in life. Now, the car is off to Tesla. So now the fun part. We will find out if it's really what they said it was, if it's really going to cost what they say. We're going to find out how long it takes to fix it. Like I said, the appointment is not till the 19th. Today is the 12th. So I really can't expect them to get to it any sooner than the 19th. So we'll come back and we will find out what's going on with the Tesla in a little bit. And with the magic of editing, we are right back to pick up my car. It turned out to be something a little bit more serious than originally anticipated, so I'm going to get into that with you here really soon. Take a look at the high voltage batteries. I've never seen these things shipped before, and this is how they come in these giant wooden crates. I don't know about you, but I think that's actually kind of cool. It even tells you on it that these are high voltage batteries. See, look at that. And there's the part numbers. Kind of cool to see all these parts just stacked up out here. So this is the Tesla service center, and well, over there, look, they got a Cybertruck. I wouldn't drive one, guys. Some of you probably love them. I am not one of them. It's interesting, it's different, it's unique, and the color combo on this is pretty awesome. The red and black, I like it. Just not for me. You know what I mean? It's just not for me. Anyway, let's get over to the car and talk about how much it cost me, because I'm going to tell you right now, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars is what this repair cost me. You guys have probably already guessed what was wrong with it, right? A lot of you probably called it already. So if you haven't guessed yet, why don't you throw a guess right now and tell me what you think was wrong with this car that would cost me thousands and thousands of dollars. All right, so supposedly it's all fixed. I should be able to walk up and... Did they give me the right key? Hey, come back. Did I just lock it again? There we go. Okay. I'm nervous, guys, because I just spent a ton of money fixing this car. Everything should be back to normal. Oh, it's got 200 miles of range. We've got a software update that I just took care of. Let's go ahead and turn the air conditioner on because it is getting warm. There we go. Back to home. Close all this out. Close all this out. Bingo. We are back, guys. Oh, man. I'm so happy. So this car currently has 200 and... Heck, what is it? It's got 262,864 miles on it. And, well, now I think I can tell you what went wrong with it. So initially, they gave me an estimate for $1,800. They said that it was the air compressor that had gone bad. And it was really cool because they actually diagnosed the car over the air. Without a mechanic ever touching it, without anybody ever seeing it, without the car ever coming to the service center, they were able to diagnose it remotely as having a failed AC compressor. AC compressor in this car runs off high voltage, so it made sense to me. It could have lost its isolation due to a faulty compressor, basically another motor. Well, I was not happy with $1,800, but things happen. I sent it here, let them fix it. Well, it didn't take very long before they got back to me. In fact, it was like a day, and they said, unfortunately, it is not the air compressor. You guessed it, It was the rear drive unit, yes. And this is the performance model, the P85. So this has the large drive unit in the rear that is notorious for coolant leaking into the electronics and poof, catastrophic failure. So the quote went from $1,800 to $7,000 and change, like $7,085 is what they quoted me. So I started looking around because I thought, you know what? I can do the motor swap myself. It's not that hard, guys. In fact, the service center here only charges $600 in labor to swap the motor. That's how easy it is. Just drops right out of, everything just drops right out of the bottom. You know what I mean? Battery drops out, motor drops out. It's not that big of a job, honestly. The problem was I started looking around for a used motor. I even got in touch with Rich Rebuilds, talked to him a little bit, and we came to the conclusion that from Tesla, this new motor was going to cost me, and this is a redesigned motor, by the way, that will not have that coolant leak. It doesn't have the seal that fails and leaks coolant into the electronics. In fact, this motor comes with a 4-year, 50,000-mile warranty. So here's the problem. All of the large drive units will fail. Every one of them. Doesn't matter. They will all fail because they all have a defect with leaking coolant into the electronics. So it will happen inevitably. Thankfully, this is a revised motor, so it does not have that problem. It will not ever have that problem again. So the next person that gets this will never have to worry about that issue that I just suffered. Started looking around for motors. Guys, you're looking at an easy $4,000 for a motor that's probably on its last legs already. If it's not dead yet, it will be shortly. You know, I was looking around eBay and $4,000 for a motor. And then I got to do the work myself. And then if there's any parts that break or we have any problems with wiring while we're in there, well, that's something else we get to contend with. And the more I thought about it, I was like, you know, it just doesn't make sense. $4,000 for a motor, getting it shipped here, doing all the work myself, or $7,000, and that's with everything. You know, that's fully inclusive. They had to replace some O-rings, some little pieces here and there, and also Tesla went through and they checked the rest of the car. They checked the battery health. They said the battery is in great shape. Surprisingly, it's the original battery. The battery is in really good shape on this car. Now it has a new motor. It's got new tires. Everything works as it should. At least that's what they told me. I haven't actually taken it out yet. So let's put the bag in the car. And unfortunately, I did not bring my dealer plate with me. So I guess we're going to be driving with no plates on this car. But at the end of the day, $7,000. The car is fixed. We're going to take it out on a ride, make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. And here's the best part. I've actually already got this car sold. Yeah, this car is gone. By the time this video comes out, it's a done deal. It's going to a good home, and we worked out a pretty good deal. I'm only going to lose, you know, somewhere around $3,000, maybe $4,000 on this. Could have been a lot worse after spending $7,000 on a motor replacement. All right, let's get into this car. Oh. Crank that air conditioning down just a hair. There we go. So there was never anything wrong with the air conditioning. I don't know why the car was reporting that, you know, it was an air conditioning failure, but it wasn't. It was absolutely the rear drive unit. So this will be our first drive. I got to get buckled up. I just met a gentleman, great guy, man, really cool dude. I didn't film, but he said he's thinking about getting into YouTube. He does real estate. He's a musician. And I told him, I said, man, just do it. You know, do it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But what does it hurt to try? You know, if you don't, it's one of those things where if you don't try, you'll never know. And that goes with anything, not just YouTube, anything. Like if you don't take the chance, if you don't take that leap, you're never going to know. You know what I mean? Like, what does it hurt to try? If you try and fail, try again. If you try and you hate it, don't do it. But if you never try, you'll just never know what you could have accomplished. So he's a great guy. I hope he hits me up on Instagram or something at some point, and I hope he starts his channel. I'd love to share him. He's a very personable guy. I think you guys would absolutely like him. Okay, air conditioning is going. Let me get buckled up. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Dang it! I've got to hit the bank. Holy crap! Yeah, I've got all this. Oh man, it's all wadded up now. Great. I got to put some cash in the bank. So let me go get buckled up Let's go drop some cash in the bank, and then we'll take this thing on the highway and see how it drives. I'm betting with this new motor, it probably will get even better range and better efficiency from that drive unit. All right, here we go. The car is filthy. I'm gonna treat her to a car wash because I think she really deserves it. We got a full charge. There just happens to be a bank right out there by the car wash, so that's perfect. Let's do it to it. And here we go. Oh man, I'm so happy to have this car back. I've been driving the Plaid. In fact, I've put like 2,000 miles on the Plaid already. I've been driving the Plaid for quite a while, and this car is still, oh yeah, she's still got the beans, man. You hit the throttle on this thing and it really goes. Very impressive considering this car is a 2013. This is old. This is an old car, guys. Car is 11 years old, 262,000 miles on it, and it still impresses me when you hit the throttle. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna get through all this mundane traffic, and we're gonna get onto an on-ramp, and we're gonna see how this new motor feels getting onto the highway. Okay, here we go. I was hoping we would be at the front of the line here so we could kind of get on it a little bit, but unfortunately, we're not. And the guy in front of us is rather slow. We might get pulled over, which could be a lot of fun for you guys because I literally have no plate on this car. I forgot about the turn signals. Like, the Plaid does not have turn signal stalks. You know what I mean? You just push a button on the steering wheel. This one is not like that. But imagine getting pulled over in this because I have no plates. They're going to pull me over and I've got just like a pile of cash sitting in the center console. Oh man, yeah, they're probably going to take all my money, impound my car, and send me walking. Well, if we could ever get past all of this traffic, I would love to actually be able to kind of stomp on this thing a little bit and feel the power, because this thing was great before. It's still very difficult to believe that the car ran and drove so good, and then poof, just out of the blue, it was like bam, just like that, the motor's dead. I know, I hear a lot of people say electric car problems, well, I'll never own an electric car. Hey, listen, I don't know about you, but I've owned almost all gas cars my entire life. Okay, you ready to stomp on it just a little bit? Yeah, it's not as impressive as the Plaid, but she moves. She does. She will get up and go. All right, here we go. Stomp on it again. Oh yeah. Okay. All right. Let's slow it down a little. There we go. I have driven plenty of cars in my day. In fact, some of them on video, where you're driving down the road and poof, engine grenades itself. In fact, I think it was a Pontiac Grand Prix that did that while we were on a test drive. The engine literally grenaded itself. And I had an Acura Integra, same deal. I was just driving down one of these streets out here in Oklahoma, and the engine started knocking. I didn't even make it off the road before, bang, the rods blew themselves all over the street. So it's not like motors/engines can't just die. It happens, and it cost me $7,000, and while that is a lot of money for replacing an engine, you have to remember also we are not just replacing an engine, we are also replacing a transmission. And I know you're thinking, but wait a minute, Teslas don't have a transmission. And you're right, they don't. But in a gasoline car, you have an engine that drives a transmission that drives a differential, okay? A Tesla doesn't have any of that. So when you replace the motor, you are literally replacing everything that drives the car. Everything. In a gas car, it would be the equivalent of changing an engine, a transmission, and a differential. So think about it that way. What would it cost to replace every component in a gas car that drives it? I guarantee you, unless it's an older used car that you can find parts relatively cheap at a salvage yard, $7,000 for brand new parts from the dealer under warranty for 4 years or 50,000 miles, in my opinion, is not a bad deal. And how about this? 263,000 miles. This car is quiet. The brakes don't vibrate or shake or shimmy. The car doesn't make any noise. It's smooth as silk. The steering is great. It's incredible how well Teslas hold up over time. They are very well built cars. In fact, I'm going to openly say this. I believe this car's build quality is better than my Plaid. I've got some videos that I need to make on the Plaid. It has more than a couple of issues. A couple of them are actually kind of significant, and other ones are just, minor annoyances. But we will come back and talk about that later. The fact that I'm driving a first generation Model S with pushing 300,000 miles on it, and the ride quality, I don't want to say it's better than the Plaid, but I feel like the quietness of the cabin, no pieces rattling and making noise when I'm driving. It's quiet. The ride quality is not better, but I feel like riding in a car that doesn't have any rattles, you feel like you're in a more premium car than I feel like when I'm driving my Model S Plaid. It's really sad to say that. Obviously, they've focused more on production, getting the numbers out, and a little bit less on the build quality. And that is a shame, because these old Teslas, they're tanks, man. They really are. These things are tanks. Real quick, I just wanted to do a little pull. Oh, it's spinning the tires. Wow.
In 500 feet, turn right onto Southeast 44th Street.
It's still fun, man. I don't care. It's still so much fun. The thing, even with traction control, was still spinning the tires, man. It couldn't get traction. Yeah, she's a beast, man. 2013 old school performance car. This is amazing. I have to do a video comparing the new Tesla to the old one. I think that'd be a fun video, because there's things that I really like about this one that I don't like about mine, but also there's a lot of things I like about mine that I don't like about this one. I think it'd be a lot of fun to do a comparison, and maybe a video that could help people shopping for an EV decide, should they buy new, should they buy slightly used, or should they buy really old and used like this? There's risks to all of it, and I think we're going to get into that in a different video. We're almost to the car wash, guys. We're going to get this thing cleaned up, hit the bank, and then I'm going to go home. And just like that, the car is clean, the money is gone, so at least now if I get pulled over, well, I don't have to worry about getting all my money taken. So let's take a walk around the car real quick now that she's all washed up and looking good. God, it is a great color. This and that really metallic blue that Tesla has are my two absolute favorite colors. I think the kind of lime green that they added, it's all right. I don't think it looks particularly great, but I like it. It's okay. It's fine. It gives the car a nice kind of, well, I don't know, unique look compared to other Teslas. The calipers and, just nice little touches here and there to make it look a little different. I also found out that a lot of this stuff around here, these are wraps. Somebody actually put a wrap over all that stuff. The wheels, I think, look really good. Tires are like brand new. Paint, beautiful. PPF on the front. Overall, just a really nice old Tesla. Now, am I upset that it cost me $7,000 to get the motor replaced? Well, yeah, I sure wasn't looking forward to spending $7,000 on a repair like that. I didn't see that coming. At the same time, it's a car, and just like any other car, it is susceptible to breaking at any given time. This is why I prefer cars with a warranty, guys. There we go. I prefer a car with a warranty because if something breaks, it's not on me to fix it. I think the car turned out pretty good, guys. I'm happy with it. It drives great. It feels like it's got way more power now than it did before, and I already checked, and this motor may be a little more efficient. I'm getting 10 watt-hours per mile more with this new motor than I was getting from the old one. So overall, very satisfied with the way this car turned out, despite it taking an unexpected twist. So with that, I'm going to get out of here, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share it with your friends. Seriously, I need to recoup my $7,000. So if you guys could watch this, it would really go a long way to help. Share it with your friends and your family. Listen, again, I want to point out, I know there's going to be a lot of people in there that they hate EVs. This is why they'll never own an EV. I hear it all the time. And here's the thing. I love cars. It doesn't matter if it's an EV or if it's a gas car. I am not one of these tree-hugging EV freaks. All right, I'm not one of those people. So I'm not out here trying to sell you an electric vehicle. I'm not shoving it down your throat. This is just something that I enjoy. I love EVs. I love the torque. I love that power, that instantaneous boom. I really like them. The fact that I can charge at home for almost free, it costs me almost nothing to charge these cars at home when you compare it to the cost of gasoline. Unfortunately, this one broke. Finally, one of these EVs really bit me hard, man. But with that said, am I now turned off from them? Absolutely not. Cars break. It doesn't matter if it's a gasoline car, if it's an electric car. It just doesn't matter. Cars will inevitably break. At the end of the day, I think the price for the repair was worth it. And I also feel like the car itself was definitely worth saving, because my two options when this broke, and don't think for a minute that I didn't consider shooting this thing back through an auction as done. It did not run. It did not drive. You could not move this car, which means if I sent it back through auction, it would be sold as a non-runner. And what's it going to bring at auction? Realistically, somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. You could say probably around $4,000 for this car. Or I could spend $7,000 fixing it. I weighed those options for a few days, and I was really torn. I was like, man, it's such a great running and driving car. If it goes through auction for $4,000, most likely it's going to be scrapped. It's not something someone's going to fix and put back on the road because of the miles. They're going to scrap it apart, and it's such a great running and driving car. I just didn't want to see that happen to it. So thankfully, I think I made the right decision. We put the car back on the road, and probably by the time this video comes out, this car may already be gone. Not to worry though, I will do one more video comparing this old Tesla to my new Plaid. And we'll go over some of the differences between the two, some of the things that I like about both of them, some of the things I dislike about both of them. But ultimately, for a first generation car, especially something that's electric from 2013, this thing is absolutely phenomenal. And I can't recommend enough going out and buying an older used Tesla. If you can afford it, have some money put back in the event that something goes catastrophically wrong. I think the batteries, they used to be 20 grand. I think now they're more like 15. And I'm willing to bet as a little bit more time goes on, you'll probably be able to get them for about 12. It's still a lot of money. Obviously, a motor replacement, no matter where you are, is going to be about 7. And that is another thing that I really like about Tesla. It's pretty much all the same, okay? You know what these things are going to cost. You know what a battery pack is going to cost. You know what a motor is going to cost. There are so many other cars out here driving around, you know, Toyotas and Rams and Dodges, Jeeps and Chevys and BMWs, Lexus, Mercedes. All of these cars have drastically different prices. Try doing an engine on an S550, okay? One of those twin turbo V8s, 4.6 or 4.7 liter twin turbo V8. Go to Mercedes and figure out how much an engine's going to be for that. Guys, $7,000 is a drop in the bucket compared to what one of those engines at a dealer is going to cost. Versus, say, something like a Chevy Cruze. Go to the Chevy dealer, get an engine for a Chevy Cruze. Probably a new Chevy Cruze, the newer turbo 4-cylinder engine. I'm going to throw a guess out there, probably around $6,000-ish for a new engine. You know, so obviously you could be looking at $6,000 for an engine, or you could be looking at upwards of $20,000 for an engine. You just don't know until your engine breaks how much it's actually going to cost you to repair. Same thing with your transmission or your differential. If you have all-wheel drive, that's something else to consider because you have a transfer case. There are so many components that can go out at any given time in all these different cars. You never know what you're going to be into it for if one of these things goes out catastrophically. With Tesla, it's pretty much universal. You know what it's going to cost. You know how long it's going to take. It took me 1 week, by the way, guys. They got this thing in on the 12th, and today is the 19th. 1 week, and the car is back, and it is as good, if not better than it was when it left. So overall, satisfying experience. I hope you guys had a satisfying experience watching this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up button, let me know. Consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't already subscribed. And until next time, stay safe out there, everybody. I look forward to seeing you all again very soon in the next one.